Hello there, and how are you all? Today is Sunday, February 23rd, 2025, and wanted to actually talk about a couple of things. First, I'll continue to talk about kind of what I've been talking about over these last few weeks and change, which is how is my TMS going? I am down to 9 treatments left. I've had a total of 27 treatments out of 36, I continue to say so far so good. Now, with that said, I'm not going to lie. This past week has definitely had some challenges. A couple of challenges actually. One, I was hoping not to get sick from whatever it was my wife and kid had, but late Tuesday afternoon, I started feeling sick. I'm still a little bit under the weather, but much better than I was, and unfortunately, at least didn't hit me as hard as it had hit my wife and kids, so I'm grateful for that. But in any case, how has the TMS treatment gone? Despite the challenges, I continue to feel like I'm moving in the right direction. My sleep has been a bit dicey. Last week in particular, it was pretty challenging. One night I actually only got about an hour and a half sleep, and I had to skip the TMS treatment the next day. There was no way I was going to try to do the treatment, let alone even try to drive there in only hour and a half sleep. So I felt, and the staff agreed, that it was better that I just stayed home and kind of try to rest that day. Despite the continued sleep challenges, and despite the occasional spikes in anxiety that I have had, which, by the way, I do want to stress that this is something that can sometimes happen during the course of TMS treatment. You can sometimes still have spikes with anxiety. You can still sometimes have issues with sleep. And I know some people might be thinking, well, gee, if you need to get at least 5 hours of sleep and TMS can potentially cause sleep issues, how does that work? Well, how it works is you take it on, you and the staff take it as a day-by-day thing. They will figure out what's best and what makes most sense. And the bottom line is you're still going to get your TMS treatments, because I've stressed before how important it is that you go to the treatments as much as you possibly can until the treatments are done. Like I said, I continue to feel like it's moving in the right direction. This weekend in particular, since that last week, I've actually felt closer to normal than I have in a while. Now, as I continue to say, I still have anxiety. It's not gone. I'm not 100% sure that even after the TMS treatments, it will be gone. But then again, they do flat out tell you that TMS isn't guaranteed to get rid of anxiety completely. But at the very least, for a lot of people, it can reduce the anxiety symptoms, and I can at the very least say that has happened. So that's kind of what I want to update you on as far as how my journey with anxiety continues to go. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is actually something that I talked about in my blog, letstalkwhat.com. Please go ahead and read it. I continue to add to it and post to it. But in any case, one of the things I talked about most recently is unconditional love and what that actually is in relation to relationships. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, it basically sounds like you're giving relationship advice. What does that have to do with anxiety? And my answer to that is quite a bit. Being in a good relationship is important anyway for lots of obvious reasons. But when it comes to unconditional love, the way I think of it is it kind of equates to that phrase in the marriage vows that we've all heard and we all know all too well, which is for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That is basically, they put that in the marriage vows not just because it sounds nice. That is basically an acknowledgement that unconditional love, like real unconditional love, it's hard. Because here's the thing. When you are saying that you're going to love someone unconditionally for the rest of their lives, what you are telling them is that you're going to not just love them at their best, but you're going to love them even when they're at their worst too. Now, one thing I do want to stress before I say anything else about that is that doesn't mean that putting up with any sort of abuse is okay. You know, any sort of mental abuse or physical abuse or any other kind of abuse is never ever okay and never acceptable. So if you're in that kind of situation, you need to do what you need to do to address that and take care of yourself and get yourself help, and if necessary, get out of that relationship. But otherwise, you know, when you say you're going to love someone unconditionally for the rest of their lives, you're saying that you're going to love them at their best, and you're going to love them at their worst, and everything in between. And you know, because here's the thing, and I want to make myself a little bit vulnerable when I say this. Ever since my anxiety took off this past October 2024, it's really affected my life. I've had issues. Since then I've had issues with blood pressure, with elevated heart rate, and I think that's all basically tied to my anxiety. And and one of the things it's done is basically shut down my ability to work. And it's seriously affected our financial situation as well. My wife is the only one who's basically been able to work and been able to bring in income, and it's made things very tough financially. And you know how much my wife has complained about it. You know how much my wife has made me feel bad about it. Not once. The one thing I have never had to wonder about is whether or not I had her complete and unconditional love and understanding and support. And that's been really important in my journey with managing my anxiety. It's allowed me to truly focus on healing myself, not just physically but mentally as well. So I just want everyone to understand that when you choose to be with someone, when you promise to love them completely and unconditionally, when you take those marriage vows and you say those vows, what you're basically saying is that you truly are going to love them for better, for worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, for the rest of your lives. And you need to understand that sometimes it's not easy, but that's what true unconditional love is. But you also understand too that when you can weather those kinds of storms, including the kind of storm that, my wife and I are going through, thanks to my issues with anxiety and the resulting high blood pressure and elevated heart rate that I've been dealing with, along with the insomnia. When your partner sticks with you through all that, it makes so many things easier. And at the end of the day, I do believe this is something that I want to get through, and I think that this whole experience will ultimately make my wife and I stronger as a couple. I mean, I think it already has made us stronger in a sense. I am just so unbelievably grateful to have her as a partner. So just understand, when you choose to be with someone, that's what unconditional love really is. So in any case, I want to wrap this up for now. And as I continue to say, if you are struggling with anxiety or any other mental health issue, please know you are not alone, and you personally have value no matter what. I hope you all have a good day and a good night, and take care.